Internally, I was really upset with myself. I got to the point where I kind of looked in the mirror and I never thought I would be there. I didn't really know the person that was looking back at me, and I broke down. I got to a point where I called my dad crying, and I didn't even know what to say. And he was one of those people that was just there to help me and tell me that everyone makes mistakes, but it's how you respond to it. My name is Jacob, and I've been going to Encounter for 3 years, and I currently lead a community group with Encounter. I grew up in a Christian home and have gone to church for as long as I can remember. Because of this, I accepted Christ as my Savior at a young age and continued going to church throughout grade school. One of my biggest goals in life growing up was to play college football. I was always a smaller kid, so I started lifting weights in 8th grade to put on muscle for football. I fell in love with the weight room and the football field, and it was my way of dealing with anything in my life that wasn't going well. If I was upset or stressed, I would go to the gym and work out. It was my release. Junior year of high school, I dislocated my shoulder and I had surgery on it, leaving me unable to play football or lift for months. While I could return to play my senior season, I dislocated my shoulder repeatedly, ruining my first surgery and requiring a second one. Needless to say, I was upset. I had worked so hard to prepare myself for those games and sacrificed a lot to make sure I was ready to compete, and all that felt like it was lost due to my injuries. While I say I trust God, my shoulder problems have been a weak point in my faith, often sending me to a bad place mentally and shaking my relationship with Christ. So what happened was I was an RA. It was my second year of being an RA, and a large part of me being an RA is wanting to help people, wanting to set a good example, wanting to be there for people as they come into college and start to figure things out for themselves. And part of my job is to enforce policy violations specifically related to alcohol. And because I was struggling with things, I started drinking alcohol more on the weekends to kind of let loose and to try to help make myself feel better when I was anxious about things. And I set a poor example with how to use alcohol, and I set a bad example for a lot of the residents there that I was supposed to look after. And because of that, I was asked to step down from my job. Internally, I was really upset with myself. I broke down. I got to a point where I called my dad crying, and I didn't even know what to say. And he really encouraged me to go back to where I started and go actively seek out a stronger relationship with Christ. And that was really reassuring, but also hard at the same time, as I felt like I had been running from Christ for so long that to turn back to Him was kind of a shot to the ego, and it was difficult. I prayed harder than I'd ever prayed before. I started seeking out people that were godly and had good advice. I went to a lot of the guys I trusted at Encounter here and asked for help and told them that I had messed up and I needed people around me that were going to push me to pursue Christ more. And I think that's really where it started, is leaning into people that were doing those things a lot better than I was at the time. They welcomed me, they loved me. Obviously they told me that they didn't want me to stay in my sin, but I was expecting them to be frustrated with me and talk to me about how what I did was wrong. And they definitely pointed out not to stay in sin, but their main focus was really helping me get back to Christ and showing me His love, which was really cool. Well, it represents Christ for me, and it gave me a tangible representation of that where I could see it. And it's one thing to read about it and pray, but it's a whole other thing to see it experienced in your life and see how people respond when you're the one that messes up. And I think it helps just remind me that, everybody makes mistakes, but God is very merciful and He's willing to forgive people. And my job is to help facilitate that and provide an example of that to other people so that they can experience the same love that I was able to experience. If I could say anything to someone in my situation who is maybe coming to Encounter for the first time and doesn't feel like they have a community, I would say welcome. You're welcomed here, you're wanted here, and everybody has mistakes that they've made in their life. Everybody has things that they think separates them from Christ or that they shouldn't be forgiven for, but that's all a lie. And we're glad that you're here, and we want to show you the love that Christ has for you.